Stadium in St. George's, Grenada for match day number 2 in the Concacaf Nations League. Today it is Curaçao facing St. Martin here in Group D of League B. Hi everyone, and as you can see, it is a cloudy and it has been a wet day on the island. The temperature right now in the low 80s. It's very humid. It has been raining all day long. It rained yesterday and the day before. As a result, the pitch here is tremendously saturated with water. There'll be standing portions of water on the pitch. It's not in good shape at all, but both teams are going to somehow try to plow through it. Here are the standings coming in after one match played for all of these teams here in this particular group, with Grenada and St. Lucia both getting wins in their openers. Curaçao and St. Martin, the two teams suffering losses back on match day number 1. So even though we have 6 total matches in the group stage, you don't want to be one of those teams that comes out of the gate, loses the first 2. So for that reason, this is a pretty important game early in this group phase for both of these teams, Curaçao and St. Martin, playing today in Grenada. And that's a good look at the pitch and just how poor a shape it's in. There's so much standing water, and the teams, because of this, had to go warm up on other pitches near the stadium. They haven't even come out onto this field yet here today for this game. The first time will be for the game itself. And this is going to be interesting because there will probably be a lot of slipping and sliding, the ball coming to a dead stop on passes. This is something that the teams are going to have to plan for and try to work around. A very difficult situation given the weather, the humidity, and all the rain, but that's part and parcel of what you get when you play in the Caribbean, especially at this time of the year. And awaiting the arrival of the teams now. Curaçao coming off the loss to St. Lucia. St. Martin fell to Grenada. Both of those games back on Friday. This is the 5th consecutive day of matches here over the course of the first 2 match days in this Nations League competition for this fall. And all of the matches in the group phase taking place in this FIFA window. And that'll be the case next month and then in November as well. So you're going to get all of these teams in League B and C playing matches in the FIFA windows of September, October, and November. And in each of those time spans, they will play 2 matches in each window, and that will account for all of the 6 games in the group stage. So Curaçao and St. Martin both playing their opening matches on Friday. St. Martin shut out 2-0. Curaçao a 2-1 loss to St. Lucia. And St. Martin losing to the team hosting these matches, Grenada. And that is a function of something new this year, in that for League B and C, each match window that they will be having according to the FIFA rules when they take a break for these international games, they will all be played at one location. So you don't have to travel between matches. It's about logistics, cost savings, things of that nature. So in this particular September FIFA window of international matches for the Concacaf Nations League, the first 2 games are being played here in Grenada.
Welcome to the Concacaf 2024-2025 Nations League Group Stage match. The national teams of Curaçao and St. Martin. Please remain standing for the national anthem of St. Martin.
As you can see, not a large crowd by any means on this Monday afternoon. That's one of the tricky things about these international breaks and some of these games that take place during the FIFA windows. You have to have them at various times, so a Monday afternoon, not an ideal time for fans to come out, so you just try to make the best of it. This game here is one of 6 different games taking place today in the Concacaf Nations League between Leagues A and B. And for Curaçao, here is the starting 11 for their head coach, Dick Advocaat. Advocaat, who will turn 77 years of age later this month, from the Netherlands. Quite a career. Started his managerial career way back in 1987, but this is his first year managing Curaçao. And Jose Corporan of the Dominican is the head referee for today's game as the captains meet at midfield for the coin toss. Eloy Rome for Curaçao, the keeper there in the dark, and Emmanuel Richardson in the red for St. Martin. And for the island nation of St. Martin, the starting 11, led by Stefan Ovre, their manager, the 43-year-old from Guadeloupe. This is the only managerial job he's ever had. Started here back in 2019, so it's his 5th season. You don't often see that with national team coaches, especially of some smaller nations, sticking around this long, but he's been in the job for quite some time now and in charge for this game here today. Curaçao in the white, St. Martin in the red. These two teams without much history between one another. And this is the first meeting in a competition of this size. It should be an adventure on this waterlogged pitch here at the Kirani James National Stadium on the island of Grenada. Curaçao and St. Martin in their second games of this FIFA international window and in League B Group D here in the Concacaf Nations League. Both teams having lost their openers this past Friday. St. Martin was shut out 2-0 to the host nation of Grenada, while Curaçao fell 2-1 to St. Lucia. For St. Martin, They outshot Grenada and had more possession. And it was the same story with Curaçao. They outshot St. Lucia and actually had twice the possession of St. Lucia. But both teams, despite the advantage statistically, still conceded 2 goals and were unable to match that level offensively on their own. So they went down to defeat. So Curaçao comes in 3rd place in the group, St. Martin in 4th. That's based on goal differential as this second match gets underway here today. There will be 2 more matches in the next FIFA window in October for these 2 nations, as well as 2 in November. And the reverse fixture between these 2 will come in that final month of November at the end of the group phase. And already you're seeing the ball caught up in some of these patches of mud and water. That is going to be a very difficult thing for each team to navigate here today, even though these island nations are sometimes used to playing on less than ideal fields. This is somewhat severe to have this much mud and water on the pitch. As you see, the keeper come out for St. Martin, Ulrich Luperton, to grab the ball for the first time here. But to be able to maintain your footing, get the proper weight on the passes, that is going to be a very challenging endeavor for these teams here today. And that's something that you could struggle with all afternoon. Maybe adjusting to a degree, but it's different in various areas of the pitch. Sometimes you're going from a grassy area into that mud and into that water. So sometimes it's just a lottery as to what the ball might do. And now that's going to be a foul, and the keeper, Luperin, is down. Luperin, who plays on the island of St. Martin for his club football, and holding that right leg. The foul committed by Juninho Bacuna, who's one of their top offensive threats, has a goal in World Cup qualifying for them in the 2nd round. But now Luperin appears to be in some pain here. Ulrich Luperin has been the first choice keeper for this national side for the last 3 years now. So he is very definitely the top priority in goal for manager Stefan Olvere. And not a guy that they want to lose, especially so early in a game like this. Now, among the other games taking place today in Ligue A, it's Guadeloupe against Suriname, Martinique versus Guyana, and also in League B, this one of 4 contests taking place. Haiti and St. Martin on the other St. Martin, Grenada and St. Lucia, the other match taking place in this very group. And that'll be later on tonight at this stadium. And then you've got Aruba facing Puerto Rico, and that taking place in Puerto Rico. So, Luperin back up, seems to be okay and ready to resume. Just over 4 minutes gone by. That's a good turn. Axel Araga now goes backwards with it. He finds Richardson. He swings it across. Curaçao trying to go quickly. Gerald Margarit now plays it backwards. This is a Curaçao team that does have pace on the flanks, and they can counter with lightning speed. St. Martin, a team that likes to have the ball a little bit more. They build from the back when they can. On a pitch like this, who knows? But they're more methodical in their build-up play, while Curaçao likes to transition and hit on the counter after soaking up that pressure. Gentes fouled here, and a free kick for St. Martin. The infraction against Brenet. Joshua Brenet, who had the 1 goal for Curaçao on Friday in the loss to St. Lucia, commits the infraction here. So a set piece at midfield for St. Martin, trying to serve it up over the top. Giannis Montanin turns his man, tries to center, and it comes back out to Yael Marguerite. He plays it around his man. That's a feisty effort to stay with it, and it earns a free kick for Curaçao. Randy Gentis on the foul for St. Martin. Now Curaçao, La Pantera Azul as they are known, the 86th ranked team in the world right now, facing St. Martin, a team ranked number 170, so quite a difference. Curaçao better than half of St. Martin in terms of ranking number. That loss to St. Lucia for this Curaçao squad came against a run of form that they were enjoying. They had gone unbeaten in 5 straight prior to that loss. Right now taking part in World Cup qualifying, leading their group after 2 matches on goal difference. They're in the second round. And interestingly enough, St. Lucia, the team they lost to in the first match of this Concacaf Nations League just a few days ago here at this stadium, St. Lucia is 3rd in that very same group. So Curaçao ahead of St. Lucia in the group during World Cup qualifying, but behind them now in the group for the Nations League. And we're going to get the game's first corner kick here. Now it's good work by Urian Gari, and it's going to be a throw-in, excuse me, here. Gari getting to it. Stephen Laguerre on the throw. Gentis, double teamed in the corner, just tries to backheel into space. Curaçao still pinned in, but a very patient squad in trying to work out from the back. And there's an instance of the ball just coming to a dead stop there, affecting that pass and making it a turnover in favor of St. Martin. And it's going to be a foul. And the push on Curaçao with the infraction against Cheryl Floranis. St. Martin has only been around as a national team playing football since 1990. They're actually not a member of FIFA, so that is somewhat unusual. They'll get the free kick here. First real set piece that offers an opportunity to play one into the box. Line drive headed right back out, though. And like Curaçao, St. Martin also had a run of pretty good results prior to their loss recently. But right now it is Curaçao building in transition here. Now Bacuna shoots and scores! Juninho Bacuna, who has a goal in World Cup qualifying, now also has a goal in the Concacaf Nations League group stage. And here in the 10th minute, it is Curaçao taking the opening lead over St. Martin. Just a settle and a curl into the corner. Juninho Bacuna, his second goal in the last month for Curaçao. Ulrich Luperin, not much of a chance in an early 1-0 advantage. Playing alongside his brother in the starting lineup, Leandro Bacuna. But it's Juninho who scores the first goal here this afternoon. And that an indication, as I was talking about earlier, just how quickly Curaçao can strike in transition on the counter. They have that speed, and once they work the ball upfield, it doesn't take much to get themselves in a scoring position. And that's a good mark of a team that has the ability to finish when Bakuna, with his first opportunity, can strike it as cleanly and as soundly as he did, find the corner with the shot, that final ball. That makes a difference when you're that clinical and ruthless in a sport where goals are hard to come by. When you are able to finish with your first real legitimate opportunity of a match, that's always going to be a good sign for a team as they look to progress through the group.
Direction ball for Curaçao in the 10-minute, player number 7, Jovinho Bakuna.
Oh, that's a good ball, but offsides. The flag comes up. Oh, it was close. Xander Severinha tried to check his run, but just didn't do enough. Needed to wait a step longer, but could have still made the play. Risky move by St. Martin. Also very gutsy to hold the line there. You got to have a lot of nerve to do that when you know what's coming and that ball's going to be played splitting defenders. On the race for it, Montanin couldn't get a handle. Leandro Bakuna has his pass intercepted. Claranis tried to win back a throw, but instead it belongs to St. Martin here. Oh, and see, now that's a product of the sloppy pitch. Save is made, the header on the rebound, and it's 2-0, all because of the back pass that got caught in the mud. And just an unfortunate situation for St. Martin. Gervain Castanier, his own shot initially saved by Ulrich Luperin, but on the rebound, the header into the empty net, and that's all because of what happened right here. A typical back pass that would have otherwise probably gotten to the keeper gets caught up in that patch of mud and water. It allows Castanier to break in. Took him 2 cracks at it, but got the rebound, headed it home. And just like that, it's 2-0 in favor of Curaçao. That's where you especially have to be careful on a field like this. You always have to take it into consideration with any ball you play, but going back to the keeper like that, from distance as well, that's so risky. In a game like this, you're almost better off in certain situations playing it in the air, even a pass of some kind. That way you can read the pace and the weight. Free kick for Curaçao in this first quarter hour, already leading 2-0. And that is a foul on Joe Marguerite. 41 teams altogether playing in the Concacaf Nations League in 3 different leagues, A, B, and C. In this year's 4th edition of this event. This is League B. The United States has won every edition of the tournament so far. The 3-time and defending champions, they are through already to the quarterfinal round. They don't have to play here in the group stage as a result. League B, which these 2 teams are part of, divided into 16 teams who are separated into 4 groups of 4. Each team playing 6 matches. And in each of the FIFA windows in September, October, and November, all of the matches are being played at a centralized venue instead of the previous home and away format that we used to have. So, as I documented earlier, this September window will have all of this group's matches being played here on the island of Grenada. And that is going to be our first yellow card of the match, and a free kick for St. Martin coming up from a pretty tempting spot. Godfried Romarteau is going to go in the book, and St. Martin with a set piece from a dangerous area. And he didn't really need to do that. I mean, he just grabs Stefan Varsavy by the jersey. He had defenders in position, so just a lazy foul and an unnecessary yellow card. So free kick that is probably too far out to go for goal, but certainly an opportunity to serve one in. And it's deflected, it goes out, and that will be the game's first corner kick. Hustling over to take it is Yannick Belchase, who plays with the Junior Stars in St. Martin. Need to get to some more red shirts in the box here. And it looks like they'll be charging and trying to crash the goal line drive, and it's volleyed out right back to Belchase. He serves it towards the back post where it's headed clear. It will be run down though by Stefan Varsovy. Giveaway. Your Marguerites loses possession, and Curaçao concedes the throw-in. Now, the way the format works here in the Concacaf Nations League this year, only the teams in League A can challenge for the trophy by advancing to the Concacaf Nations League finals. The tournament also allows teams to qualify for the Gold Cup by earning a berth directly or advancing to the preliminary round. Here in League B and also in League C, the goal is promotion rather than relegation. Each group winner here in League B is promoted to League A for next year and the next edition of this CONCACAF Nations League. So if you win the group, you get into League A, and then next year you have an opportunity to play for the title. If you're the last place team in the group, you get relegated down to the league below you. That's deflected into the air by David Chevalier. Curaçao has not spent much time on the ball in the final third, even though they do have 2 goals. Trying to create an opportunity here. Gentis has it blocked out, and it will be a Curaçao throw-in. So the last place team in this group here that features Grenada, St. Lucia, Curaçao, and St. Martin. As you see the player down, Randy Gentes for, or I should say, excuse me, Janino Bacuna for Curaçao. This is what happened here. Tried to turn, poked at the ball, and holding that right ankle that he extended. He's the first goal scorer of the day. He opened the scoring in the 10th minute. So just to finish the thought, if you're the last place team in this group, you get relegated to League C next year. So then it's a long way back to try and find your way to a position where you could actually win the title. You have to get promoted the following year to League B and then try to get promoted for the following year into League A. So much better to be at the top of the group than the bottom, considering your pathway to a potential title. So Bacuna will walk this one off. And now a throw-in. Joshua Brené gets it right back. And Curaçao will build all the way from the back with just about 20 minutes gone by. Janino Bacuna and Gervain Castanier, the 2 goals for Curaçao. They have the 2-0 lead on this saturated pitch in Grenada on this Monday afternoon. Curaçao playing as this national team in their current form for just about a decade and a half. 2011 was the first time they came together in this kind of structure. The island itself, just southeast of Aruba, 40 miles north of Venezuela in the southern Caribbean. Among their top ever results, they've been to the Gold Cup on 2 occasions and got to the quarterfinals back in 2019. So those are their biggest results of any note. St. Martin doesn't have anything close to that. St. Martin, an island of 34 square miles. The French part of the island is in the north. There's the Dutch side on the south in the northeastern Caribbean, about 200 miles east of Puerto Rico. And St. Martin on the move, but taken away by, or from Randy Gentis, by Joshua Brenet, hustling back on defense. And it's going to be a holding foul on Jurian Gari and a free kick for St. Martin. Now this is a little closer. They might have a genuine shot to go for goal here, but it's also at an angle where you might try to curl it in and get a runner who can crash the goal, attack and get a head on it, perhaps a one-time volley. It will be Stefan Varsavi to serve it in. Sometimes you see players from this angle as well try to catch the keeper off guard, go short side with a line drive. Plays it over the top. The volley fanned on by Gentis. Now Amiens has it dispossessed from him, and then the pass caught in the waterlogged slog. Comes back and easily handled by Roshan van Elgema. All kinds of messiness in the Curaçao end. They're going to try and break free here. Janino Bacuna back on after the injury. He's making the overlapping run here, but they can't get it to him. It's a good ball, but a little too far for its intended target, Stephen Laguerre. Midway through this first half, 2-0. Curaçao with the advantage, and a free kick coming up for them right now. Both teams, prior to their opening losses on match day 1 this past Friday here in this stadium, were playing very well. Curaçao had gone 5 in a row unbeaten. St. Martin had won 4 in a row, and they had done so by a combined score of 20-1. St. Martin is a team that can score a lot of goals. They can fill it up offensively, but then all of a sudden hitting obstacles in St. Lucia and Grenada. Both teams trying to bounce back here today, and so far it's just been Curaçao getting the 2 early goals. St. Martin still without a goal so far here in these 2 opening games of the group stage in the Nations League this year. Laguerre fires it in, volleyed back out. Long shot deflected and eventually finds its way to Eloy Rome, the keeper for Curaçao, who touches it for the first time here today. Captain for this Curaçao squad, 32-year-old, longtime keeper of the national team. Trying to create space here. And now making the run for Curaçao. Marguerite couldn't find him though. That was a good ball in. Marguerite though, maybe just a step behind. Also good defense by Laurent Amiens there, number 5, to play it out. And it gives Curaçao their first corner kick of this game. Leandro Bacuna over to take it. Off the short corner, Bacuna fires it over everyone for a goal kick. After today, these players will go back to their clubs and will reconvene for match days 3 and 4 in the next FIFA window in mid-October for their next batch of matches here in this group stage. Tomorrow marks the final day of international play during this particular FIFA stretch. And during the course of this international break, 6th day in a row of competition. And that side of the pitch there is one where you can really see the ball getting caught up. It seems like there's more standing water there than anywhere. And it just gets worse as the game goes on, even though it's not raining. And theoretically, it would be drying up, but with so much play over there, the turf is getting chewed up. It's just getting sloppy, and it'll get more slippery because of that. As the match goes on, the more you get those cleats digging into the turf and the mud. So if they can, they'd probably like to play over on this near side, where there's at least more grass to work with. That's a good decision to pull it back, go the other way by Leandro Bacuna. He finds his brother Janino, now out wide. They're going to try to serve it in. And the head ball, saved by Liperon. Played back to the top of the 18. They'll get another crack at it. Shot is blocked, though. Janino Bacuna looking for the brace. Good defense by St. Martin to get red shirts in front of that shot at the top of the 18. Curaçao very dangerous, playing the ball in from especially that left-hand side. Trying to work it through the channel, and the flag comes up. Second offsides of this first half on Curaçao. Good idea, finding spaces in that back line of St. Martin. And it was Costanier going up with the free header. He had a chance at the brace there. Would have been his second in a row here in this first half. Leandro Bacuna takes it away and plays it back to his defenders, who will restart here. Now Gentis. Good effort by Emmanuel Richardson, but he's got two defenders in his face. Curled in, but nobody there for St. Martin. This is going to allow Janino Bacuna some daylight. Pick his head up before he runs into a defender here, now double teamed. And it's going to be a free kick. Now the Curaçao manager coming over to talk to the fourth official, the manager Dick Advocat. He has been around a long time. He'll turn 77 years of age later this month, a native of the Netherlands. He actually played for the national team of the Netherlands and also for the Chicago Sting of the former NASL in the U.S. He is currently managing his 8th different national team with Curaçao here. Started his managerial career way back in 1987. It's his first year with Curaçao. Probably the highlight of his managerial tenure, leading his home nation, the Netherlands, to 3rd place at the Euros back in 2004. Has also managed Iraq, Serbia, Belgium, Russia, and then club teams in PSV and Borussia Mönchengladbach. Randy Gentes has been the most active and dynamic player for St. Martin here, spending most time on the ball in the middle of the field, but hasn't had a lot of support around him. St. Martin, as I mentioned, had won 4 in a row by a huge margin prior to their loss to Grenada on match day 1 this past Friday. Prior to that, though, they went winless in 5 straight. So it's been a really curious pendulum swing back and forth and up and down form for this nation. Curaçao creating in the final third, looking for that third with half an hour going by. Played to the back post, knocked down by Luperon, and then knocked out by his defender for a corner kick. Luperon has been busy. And he's fortunate his defender there, David Chevalier, didn't knock it into his own goal, the way it came off on the rebound. First corner from this side for Curaçao. And we'll do it again. Better service here. And that'll be a corner on the opposite side. And this time Leandro Bacuna will trot on over. Went short from this side last time, but he'll provide a longer effort here. Get some height on it, but no one to make contact. It sails over everyone, untouched and out for a goal kick. 2 goals from 2 different goal scorers so far. Janino Bacuna in the 10th minute, and then Gervain Castanier off a mistake from St. Martin. 2-0 the lead, with inside of a quarter of an hour left to go here in this first half from St. George's Grenada. This venue on the west coast of the island, built back in 1999, seats about 8,000, but only a few in the stands for this Monday afternoon start. Joshua Brené tries to slide it through for Janino Bacuna, but can't get there. Coming up later on tonight here at the stadium, it's Grenada and St. Lucia. In the other match from this group, 2 teams playing for first place in the group before this group stage takes a break until mid-October. So whoever wins that match will take first place into the October FIFA international window, and the next 2 matches here in League B and this group. That's better from St. Martin. Versovi swings it all the way across. Now Gentes. Curaçao back defensively. Versovi comes across to help out. Lobbed up and easily handled by Rome. Inside the final 10, first half. Janino Bacuna with a good pass for a streaking Earl Marguerite. to the top of the 18. Bacuna's going to run it down. Tracking all the way from one side of the pitch to the other. Shot partially fanned on. Here's Gentis, dispossessed. Long ball over the top. St. Martin has looked vulnerable to that here today. This time, they win the battle. Well, after the group stage last fall here in the Concacaf Nations League, the first and second place finishers of each group in League A advanced to the quarterfinals. And that'll be the same case here this year. So once they finish group play this fall, the quarterfinals will be set in League A, and that'll take place later this year with the finals set for next spring. This one of 37 matches taking place here over the course of a 6-day stretch during this FIFA international window in the month of September. And we're going to get a whistle here. And a yellow card issued to Cheryl Floranis of Curaçao. That's the second caution that's been shown to Curaçao here today. And he's grabbing the keeper here. That's the reason why. Very strange. Obviously unnecessary, but certainly worthy of a yellow card. That's a good ball between the lines. Axelraga, though, having trouble with it. Gets support from Steven Lager. And now Varsovi into the 18, but Curaçao able to handle that, and here they come. With pace, Godfried Romorotto trying to beat his man, but that's a hard place to move with the ball with the mud and water there. Hard to dribble and run. Maintain possession in the process. Free kick, St. Martin. Giannis Monatin going down. Fourth free kick in the Curaçao end for St. Martin here in this match. And it will be a corner. Headed away by Russian Van Elgema and chased down by Giannis Monatin. Oh, St. Martin's last man back made that play. Leandro Bacuna, long pass intercepted. But now a real chance for Curaçao here. That's a good sliding tackle, though. And nice defensive play by Steven Lager, with inside of 5 minutes plus stoppage time left to go here in the first half. Now there is one other game that started at exactly the same time here as this contest. It's Haiti against St. Martin, the other St. Martin, spelled M-A-A-R-T-E-N. That game taking place in Puerto Rico, and Haiti has gone ahead, and they lead 1-0 right now. Two other games coming up later on tonight, both in League B as well, as Curaçao builds. Marguerites on the overlapping run. Played back to the top of the 18. The shot fired off the post, off the keeper, and he grabs it to make the save. Wow, what a sequence. Luperon winds up smothering it, but a terrific chance for Curaçao to add their third. First it was Brené here. He goes back for Janino Bacuna. He fires the shot. First goes off the keeper, then the post, back to the keeper. So Ulrich Luperon got a piece of the first shot. It glances off his body, then the post. Unfortunately, it came right back to him. In many cases, though, the keeper is kind of defenseless. It'll hit his body and ricochet into the net, but he caught a break. And that's also a huge break for St. Martin collectively, because you go down 3 at this point late in the first half. That makes it very difficult to come back. As it stands now, they're still kind of up against it, the way things have been trending, but down by 2 is certainly much more manageable with a whole second half still to be played. And a free kick. Gentis fouled. The other two matches I mentioned coming up later. Grenada and St. Lucia right here in St. George's, and Aruba against Puerto Rico in Puerto Rico. Trying to go over the top. Just haven't had any luck doing that here. St. Martin, void of a lot of creative ideas in getting forward and generating offense. Leandro Bacuna. And he'll get the pass back. That'll be handled by Marguerite. 1v1. Marguerite just over the bar. Can't believe we'd have a lot of stoppage time here at the end of this first half. Not a lot of delays to account for. And that player slips. Steven Lager now in alone, looking for the brace. Oh, a huge save by Luperon. It was his Castanier who was in alone. Luperon read it well and came out to make the sliding stop. If he doesn't come out, he is in a tough spot, point blank. So Ulrich Luperon, not hesitating whatsoever, read that play extremely well to make the stop. That's two big saves here in the last 5 minutes for the St. Martin keeper, Ulrich Luperon. Keep this a manageable scoreline headed towards the break. A terrific read and save in that last sequence. This could easily be 4 or even 5-0 at this point for Curaçao. St. Martin hanging around enough to give themselves a shot in the second frame. We're going to get 2 added minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, may your attention please. The fourth official has indicated there will be 2 minutes of time added on to the first half.
Two extra minutes in a 2-0 game. Janino Bacuna and Gervain Castanier, the 2 tallies for Curaçao. St. Martin still looking for their first official shot on goal. Now, the big story of this first half will also be the big story of the second. The conditions of the playing surface definitely contributing to the second goal, and the first goal coming inside the opening 10 minutes. So St. Martin has been back on their heels throughout the opening 45 minutes, and now we're down to the final seconds here. Curaçao just content to take it to the break with a 2-0 lead, making St. Martin come into their end to defend them. They'll just play possession here for the final half minute before we reach the intermission. Neither team really interested in doing much here before the second half begins. St. Martin doing a lot of defending in this first half. The opening goal coming with a quick transition for Curaçao. The second goal off a mistake when the back pass was caught up in the puddle in the middle of the field. And now we reach halftime at the Kirani James National Stadium in St. George's, Grenada, with the score Curaçao 2 and St. Martin 0.
Thank you for coming out to the Kirani James Stadium to witness this group stage matches. And you can follow the highlights of the various group stage matches on the Concacaf YouTube channel.
On our way to the second half here from St. George's, Grenada. League B competition here in the Concacaf Nations League, in a substitution for St. Martin. As we get things started, Raheem Fleming is going to come on. He'll replace Emmanuel Richardson as the second half is set to kick off. Curaçao with the 2-0 lead as we begin the second 45 minutes from the Kirani James National Stadium. If this scoreline holds, Curaçao would be in a position to move up into one of the top 2 spots in the group by the end of the day. The other game in this group follows this one here at this venue. It'll be Grenada and St. Lucia coming up next. Those 2 teams, each winners in their first matches in the group stage this past Friday over these 2 teams. So it's currently, as the day started, Grenada in first place, St. Lucia in second. That's on goal differential. Curaçao in third, St. Martin in fourth. So Curaçao has a chance to move up. But for St. Martin, the way things are trending, they're going to be locked at the bottom of the group in fourth place, headed towards the next international window in October. The 2 first-half goals, Janino Bacuna for Curaçao in the 10th minute, and then Gervain Castanier 3 minutes later. The only scoring in that first half of play, but it could have been worse in favor of Curaçao. The keeper for St. Martin, Ulrich Luperin, making a few really good saves, and Curaçao out-shooting St. Martin 7-1 in terms of shots on target. And a free kick here for Curaçao. That's something they did not have a lot of. Set pieces here from threatening positions on the pitch in the St. Martin end. Didn't have many of these in the first half. And an opportunity right out of the chute here in the second. This is Leandro Bacuna, their designated set piece taker. We've seen him on corners already. Just play it on the ground here to Xander Severina. His defender, Giannis Monitin, not fooled. And after that 1v1 battle, it winds up in a corner kick for Curaçao. La Pantera Azul, as Curaçao is known, prior to their loss to St. Lucia this Friday. They had gone unbeaten in 5 in a row. They will see St. Lucia again in their next World Cup qualifying match in June of 2025. Now, those 2 nations with some significant history as of late, not just in this Nations League, but also in World Cup qualifying. Once again, Bacuna. Now Janino Bacuna, who scored the first goal of the game. That's a good find, and the shot and a goal comes from his brother, Leandro. One Bacuna sets up another. They both have goals on the day, and it's now 3-0 Curaçao here in Grenada. Clever ball and a quick strike, just the way Janino did earlier. Took it, didn't waste time, fires, and he beats Luperin short side. Right through the leg of Giannis Monitin, split the legs of the defender. And goals for each Bacuna here, either side of halftime. The first goal came inside the first 10 minutes, and the third goal comes inside the first 4 minutes of the second half. was the second goal for Curaçao that came from Gervain Castanier that was courtesy of a mistake and a product of the sloppy pitch. But the other two goals by the two Bacunas have really been wonderful strikes. Now St. Martin really in a tough spot, only one shot altogether in this game. And not looking very dangerous whatsoever at 80 points so far here this afternoon. And it's going to be a foul on St. Martin. Free kick for Curaçao. And a man down for them on that far side. And with the pressure being applied by St. Martin, Curaçao just dumps it down the pitch. Something St. Martin did not do a lot of in the first half is pressure high up the field. Now a chance for Curaçao here, but again the ball gets stuck in the turf. The pass a little short from Urian Gari. Here's Gari again. That far side's provided the most difficulty of any parts of the field. Janino Acuna. Now Leandro overruns it. Lobbed ahead. Grabbed by Axelraga on the turn here. Curaçao has done a good job getting back defending. Weak shot from the second half sub, Raheem Fleming. And then turned by Xander Severina, but he promptly gives it away. Randy Gentes will drop it back. Long range effort, bounces right into Eloy Room. St. Martin trying to play one-touch football through the middle of the field, and they wind up with a throw-in. St. Martin looking for a jump start here, some kind of opportunity to really give them a foothold in this game. Pass slid through to Romelu Lacazette. He stumbles, no foul on the play. Here's Lacazette with the throw, comes right back to him. Tries to find Fleming, and it's going to be a handball. So a free kick from a very interesting angle for St. Martin. Giannis Monitin here. That's a good delivery, but headed out. Monitin again. This time on the ground. The the same result. And Leonardo Bacuna, who just scored a few minutes ago, saves the corner but concedes the throw-in. St. Martin just not able to penetrate this Curaçao defense and create many genuine opportunities here in the final third. Spending more time in the final third, but not much success to show for it. Their manager's already made one change in introducing a substitute at halftime. Stefan Auvray, the manager, the 43-year-old from Guadeloupe, in his 5th year here. Both managers here today at one point or another played soccer in the U.S. professionally. Auvray for the New York Red Bulls in Major League Soccer, and also for Sporting Kansas City in the early days of MLS. Here's a chance, and Curaçao thought they had the corner, but it'll wind up as a goal kick for St. Martin. Curaçao using their transition speed once again. 3 players in the box, played all the way across, and none could get a foot on it. Xander Severina tried to be patient, but in the end, maybe a little too impetuous with the pass. Keeper coming all the way out. Rome here, and a player down, and St. Martin upset here because they believe that they had an opportunity with the player down. That cost them a chance at an open goal because Rome was so far out of his area. Either way, play is stopped here. This is how it looked. Rome, and he clipped his own player. That's what happened. And hit his own player in the face as well. So that is Urian Gari, who is down. So we'll restart out near midfield. Slipped through, but again, there's always a Curaçao defender there. Comes right to Giannis Monitin. He plays it towards the back post. This is where St. Martin has to be careful because Curaçao has that speed to counter quickly. Leandro Bacuna. Now Cheryl Floranis just lost the ball at his feet. St. Martin attacking from the left, back post on the volley. It comes through untouched. Oh, maybe their best chance of the game. Axel Raga on the one-time volley tried to play it through across the 6-yard box, but nobody there in a red shirt to capitalize. Now trying to counter and play in transition the other way. Curaçao, but St. Martin back to defend. It's a nice move by Romulo Lacazette, but again, Rome is out, reading that play well, gets there ahead of Raga for St. Martin. A couple of times now that Eloy Rome has come out of his goal to make a play defensively for Curaçao. Now St. Martin looking better, more dangerous, more inspired soccer at this point, as we're going to get a substitution for Curaçao coming up here. It looks like Joshua Zimmerman is going to come on. But St. Martin really starting to take the game to Curaçao more here in this second half. They've just been more active, faster, quicker to win the ball when they lose it. Just more dynamic in going forward, creating chances, and being more ambitious in getting into the final third. Curaçao forced to defend more than they have this entire game here over the course of the last 10 minutes or so. And that will be a free kick. And it is Joshua Zimmerman who is going to come on. He will replace Xander Severina, first substitution of the game for Curaçao. They lead 3-0 here with 2 goals in the first half and 1 so far here in the second. Chevalier 1v1. Oh, that's a good defensive play. Godfrey Romarteau now goes down as he takes the contact after making the fine defensive effort. Now studs came in high there from Laurent Amian. And St. Martin once again trying to spring a man this time. That is Mavwels. And out for a St. Martin throw. Showing some pace up front. Now the throw in from Ramon Lacazette. Headed up into the air. And then eventually volleyed out. Curaçao continues to defend very well. St. Martin just can't find that breakthrough. Curaçao very careful in protecting this lead, 3-0. 3 goals from 3 different goal scorers, Juninho and Leandro Pacuna and Gervain Castanier. Here comes Curaçao on the move right now. And that's going to be a yellow card. As Joshua Zimmerman, the second half sub, was held. He could have been in alone on goal, so Laurent Amians had to make a business decision there. So a tactical foul, but he knew it was going to be a yellow as he just grabs him here to slow him down and take him out of the play. So Amians will go into the book, taking one for the team, and a free kick for Curaçao.
Ladies and gentlemen, have your attention please. Yellow card issued to number 5, San Martin,
and the free kick coming up from Leandro Pacuna.
In the 64th minute of play.
Oh, that's a good, clever ball to Juninho Pacuna. sidesteps the keeper, tries to play it in front, and it's back out to the top of the 18 where the shot is fired and saved by Luperon. Leandro Bacuna now keeps it alive. Terrific stop by Luperon, who was kind of caught out of the goal for a moment. Chipped back in, back post, a header and a goal. It's 4-0. But Joshua Zimmerman off the bench finds the back of the net on the header, and Curaçao continuing to pull away. 4-0 the lead here in the second half. Now chipped right to Zimmerman. Nobody there defensively for St. Martin. Took a deflection on the way over. And a routine near post effort. And Zimmerman, having just come on in the last 2 minutes, gets the goal and should just about put this one away. Two goals in each half so far for Curaçao. This could be important for them on goal differential as group play continues. This is only the second of 6 group stage matches altogether as they look to climb towards the top of the group. Started the day in 3rd place after losing their opening game, and we'll see what happens in the other game from this group that will follow this one here at this stadium later on tonight. And what should make it even more unpredictable and challenging is the condition of the pitch getting worse through the course of this game because of the usage by these two teams. So it's going to be even worse for Grenada and St. Lucia later on this evening. And it's been terrible all day long just because of the weather and the mud and the standing water and chewed up turf. Oh, and just lazy defending by St. Martin, allowing Zimmerman, who just scored, to get it back in another opportunity to perhaps score again, that time taken away from him though, and he blocks it out for a goal kick. So Grenada sitting in first place coming into the day in the group, St. Lucia in second. Those two winners in their first games against these two teams last Friday. Curaçao losing to St. Lucia, St. Martin falling to Grenada. But Curaçao, it looks like on their way to picking up their first win. St. Martin would drop to 0-2. And after these first 2 matches, that marks the point at which we'll be a third of the way through the group phase. And St. Martin in last place would be the team in danger of getting relegated. Still a long way to go, 4 matches, but they would be in that last place position where at the end of the group phase, if you're in last, you get relegated to League C for next year. Another substitution for St. Martin, Sasha Barakats coming on. And Randy Gentes, who was very dynamic in the first half, touched the ball more than any other St. Martin player. He exits here in the second. A reminder that after group play is finished in mid-November, the team at the top of this group will be promoted to League A for next year. The team at the bottom gets relegated to League C. And here in the Concacaf Nations League, the way it works, the only way you can win the title is if you're in League A. So whoever wins this group will play in League A next year and then have a chance to win it all. 2 matches to be played in each FIFA international window over these next 3 months. This is the second and final one in September, 2 more in October, and then the final 2 of the group stage in November. Quick restart by St. Martin. And they have looked better in trying to create offense here in the second half, but still nothing to show for it on the scoreboard. Couple of players square it up after the whistle, and a yellow card being issued to Giannis Monitin of St. Martin. Now Zimmerman splitting defenders on the dribble, looking for a second goal, but he blasted well wide. Using his pace, but the end product was not there. And now a chance, and at the last minute, taken off the foot of Castanier, who was looking for his second of the day. Corner kick for Curaçao. Bakuna, the line drive. And that'll be a free kick for St. Martin coming out. St. Martin, the 170th ranked team in the world, and this result kind of bearing out that current ranking. Curaçao number 86. And Curaçao right now in the middle of World Cup qualifying as they try to book a spot to the next World Cup in the United States, Canada, and Mexico for 2026. They currently lead their group after 2 matches in the second round. It's very tight, though. They are in first place on goal difference alone. And what's even more interesting is that another team in that group is St. Lucia. Now, St. Lucia is the team that Curaçao lost to in their opening game of group play here in this Concacaf Champions League back on Friday. St. Lucia, though, is currently third in the World Cup qualifying group, while Curaçao is in first. And those two teams will play again in World Cup qualifying next June when that qualifying phase resumes. That's the next game each will play in World Cup qualifying. Now a chance for St. Martin, and it's kept alive. The shot, though, well wide, and it's a goal kick. Romuald Lacazette from point-blank range, and he just blasted it well off target, just totally shanked it. Substitution for Curaçao here. Rangelo Younga coming on, and he will replace Leandro Bakuna, who has one of, or I should say, let's see. No, Gervain Castanier is going to come off. So he got the second goal of the day. Has had a chance for a few more, but now exiting here in the second half. Zurich Carolina also coming on for Cheryl Floranis. So 2 substitutions made by the team, leading by 4. La Pantera Azul finishing off the subs here with just over a quarter of an hour left to go. 2 goals in the first half, 2 in the second half. A comfortable 4-0 lead here in Grenada. Warm day, temperature in the 80s, high humidity. It was raining earlier as a result. You see the way the pitch has been all day long. The teams couldn't even warm up here. They had to go to a field near the stadium and didn't even step foot onto the pitch here until the game began. And it directly led to the second goal of the game for Curaçao when a defender for St. Martin tried to make a back pass to his keeper. It got caught up in the standing water and mud, and it allowed Gervain Castaner, who has just subbed off for Curaçao, to pick up the loose ball and score. And now curled in by Barakat.
Double substitution. Player in number 2, Zurich, Carolina. Player out, number 5, Charles Florence. Substitution in the 74th minute of play.
So the player for Curaçao denying the stretcher, as it often happens, and instead gets to his feet just in time. Omarazzo helped up here. And more substitutions on the way. Nicky Soren is about to come on for Curaçao, as well as Arjani Marta. I've already had a goal from one sub for Curaçao here, as it was Joshua Zimmerman who scored just 3 minutes after coming on here in the second half to make it 4-0. Alejandro Bacuna, who has a goal here, one of the 4 on the day. Taken away from Zimmerman, and now St. Martin on the go. Trying to finally crack what has been a very rigid back line for Curaçao, but once again the white shirts retreat and recover to defend here. 4 red shirts in the box though for St. Martin. Looking for an angle, but none there. The shot from Giannis Monatin blocked. Now Barakat trying to get to the end line before it's taken away from him. And it will be a throw-in for St. Martin. Curled in, Zimmerman volleys it out. Oh, it's a good turn by Raga, but nowhere to go. 3 white shirts in his way. Now Curaçao in transition where they've been so dangerous today. Zimmerman just using his pace all the way. Now trying to slide it across, and that's a good recovery by Stefan Varsovi, defensive lead for St. Martin. And now the substitution, Arjani Marta, is finally set to come in. Margarita coming out. So a lot of M-A-R-T-H-A's in that substitution here. And the corner kick for Curaçao. Every time St. Martin tries to play in transition, Curaçao just using their swiftness to recover and overwhelm them. That's an area where the field hasn't played that much of a factor here today. The pace of Curaçao has been a difference maker, especially on defense. And St. Martin just has not been able to overcome that. Curaçao, a team that internationally has been to the Gold Cup on 2 occasions. Its best result, the quarterfinal round 5 years ago.
Substitution in the 78th minute.
Now Barakat off the bench, trying to navigate and carve his way through, but a heavy touch, awkward, gave it up. Janino Bakuna. Curaçao building.
Ladies and gentlemen, attention please. The total attendance for tonight's game.
Oh, there's a good run and a goal kick in the end. That's the area of the pitch that's been the worst, and you can see the water sloshing off the players, the ball stopping, players losing control, overrunning the ball as a result. And it's that area of the pitch that helped contribute to Curaçao's second goal of the game. Now the next game coming up here, we'll also have to deal with the conditions when Grenada plays St. Lucia. And that'll be for first place in the group, headed towards the October stretch of group stage games that will encompass match days 3 and 4 here in League B. So whoever wins that one will be in first place until we resume next month. And Curaçao a chance to emerge from this September window in second place with this result here today. Free kick though for St. Martin inside the final 10 minutes. Looking for their first goal here in the group stage this year. They were shut out by Grenada on this field 2-0 on Friday and trail 4-0 to Curaçao today. Had several free kicks in the first half that really didn't test Curaçao all that much. And right at Eloy Rome. Has only had to make a couple of saves on the afternoon, and none all that difficult. Well, and St. Martin's lost to Grenada here on Friday. They outshot Grenada and had more possession, but that has not been the case by a long shot here today in this match against Curaçao. Now here is Zimmerman, again attacking from the left-hand side of the pitch, and it'll be a corner kick for Curaçao. Curaçao, in their loss to St. Lucia, outshot St. Lucia and had twice the possession of their opponents, even though they lost 2-1. But while they lead in all the statistical categories of relevance today, they also lead in the one that matters most, 4-0 right now. The other game going on right now in League B over in Group C, Haiti has matched the score line here as they lead the other St. Martin 4-0. So all in all, not a good day for St. Martin in the Concacaf Nations League. Both St. Martins losing 4-0 at the moment. This St. Martin here, it's about to make 2 more substitutions, and the St. Martin that is spelled M-A-A-R-T-E-N. That game taking place in Puerto Rico, and Haiti leading 4-0 there. Curaçao 4-0 on top here in Grenada. And the 2 substitutions, Raheem Denny and Imre Chevalier, both coming on. Raga and also Fleming going out. So Curaçao, even though they will be 1-1 after these first two matches in this group, can feel very good about themselves and their trajectory, considering how well they played against St. Lucia, even though it was a loss. And they had twice the possession, moved the ball well. They were very good in attacking, just didn't have the end product and find a way to score more. But two very solid games for Curaçao, and this is a team still with 4 matches to go after today that is going to be a threat to earn that promotion from this group. It's going to be a foul as Emery Chevalier was taken down. Roshan van Elgema called for the foul, and a free kick for St. Martin. So this figures to set up as a pretty interesting battle for first place long term between Curaçao, St. Lucia, and Grenada over the last 4 matches that'll be played in October and November for that one spot in League A for next year that will be earned from the winner of this group. Free kick coming up here from Giannis Monitin. 5 minutes plus stoppage time left. And they weren't ready. And the second time, it's headed down, and the save is made by Rome on the rebound. He snags it. His best save of the day. Eloy Rome has had not a lot to do, but boy, when he had to be thrown into action here, he was ready. Quick reflexes off the header, makes the stop. The header coming in by Ramon Lacazette, and Eloy Rome ready to keep the shutout alive. Now Zimmerman crosses it in, and that header is also stopped at the other end by Luperon. 2 very similar plays in terms of headers, straight down into the ground in front of the 2 different keepers here. However, one preserves a shutout, the other has been beaten 4 times. Luperon much busier, though, in the first half than he was in this second half of play. Even though Curaçao has scored twice in each half, they had more total shots in the first than they have so far here in this second frame. Haiti, meanwhile, now leading the other St. Martin 5-0. So both of these games happening concurrently here in Grenada and also in Puerto Rico. No longer in doubt. Very one-sided. And it's just a matter of time here before the results are confirmed. And then it'll be 2 more matches left to go in these 2 groups in League B here this evening. Coming up here at this venue, the Kirani James Athletic Stadium in Grenada. It'll be the host nation of Grenada facing St. Lucia. And then over in Puerto Rico, Aruba taking on the host nation there in Puerto Rico as well. And then tomorrow, the final matches of this portion of group play in this September international window. A 6th consecutive day of games to wrap it up. And a corner kick for St. Martin, a team that's not even a member of FIFA, still relatively early in their nation's soccer history. About to lose for the 2nd time in a row. Prior to that, had won 4 straight. And the corner delivered by Giannis Monitin. Monitin again. That's a good turn. But Janino Bacuna, who scored the first goal of the game, will send it long. Now it's going to be a long way back for St. Martin after a 2-0 loss on Friday to Grenada and what looks like will be a 4-0 defeat here to Curaçao today. They're going to be 0-2 at the bottom of this group in League B with 4 matches left to go. Without a goal so far. And the last place team in the group at the end of the group stage gets relegated to League C for next year. Meanwhile, it should be a pretty tight battle for first place in the group, Grenada, St. Lucia, and Curaçao, to win the group and get promotion to League A. Janino Bacuna again. Heavy touch, and thought he was going to get the throw in. Man down here, Ramon Lacazette for St. Martin. Shouldn't have a lot of stoppage time. Had 2 minutes at the end of the first half. Might get some for this stop here and just a few others so far, but not a lot altogether. And a slip there. Now the other match winding to a close, now 6-0 in favor of Haiti. Lacazette up quickly now into stoppage time. And that's it. It is over. No stoppage time added here. 4 goals from 4 different goal scorers, 2 in the first half, 2 in the second, and a very emphatic and definitive win for Curaçao here in Grenada. The final score from the Kirani James National Stadium, Curaçao 4 and St. Martin 0. Janino Bacuna, Leandro Bacuna, Gervain Castanier, and Joshua Zimmerman, the 4 goals for Curaçao. They had more possession. They outshot St. Martin by a wide margin. They get their first win of the group phase. They're now 1-1, looking towards the October window when the next games will be played. And for St. Martin, they are still without a goal through their first 2 matches, no wins and 2 losses. So Curaçao, a chance, depending on the result of the next game here at this venue later tonight, with an opportunity to move up into second place in the group. Next it will be Grenada against St. Lucia here at the Kirani James Stadium. Grenada and St. Lucia each with 1 win so far coming into their matchup here today. On this 5th day of competition here in the group stage, second match for each team here in League B, and early on in the 10th minutes, it was Janino Bacuna opening the scoring for Curaçao. Turned out to be the game-winning goal, and then the mistake by St. Martin. The pitch played into this as well, as Castanier, after his initial shot was stopped, gets the header for the goal. 2-0 at that point, and that would be the score at halftime as well. And then in the second half, after some terrific stops by the keeper, Luperon, Curaçao would add 2 more. Made this save that also hit the post before he wrangled it. As I said, it was 2-0 after the first 45 minutes, but they would add 2 more in the second half. Even though St. Martin did have more possession in the second frame, it would be Leandro Bacuna drilling that one to the near post. So both Bacunas getting on the scoreboard here tonight. Also got very physical in the second half. And then Joshua Zimmerman, the substitute who came on in the second 45 minutes with his first goal on the header to complete the scoring and make it 4-0, which would be the final on the day. Best opportunities for St. Martin really came late in the game, but they could not find the back of the net. This opportunity probably their best of the entire match. Rommel Lacazette, the header stopped by Rome, and it ends in a 4-0 final. So Curaçao with their first win, St. Martin their second loss. And Curaçao now with 1 win and 1 loss through the first 2 of 6 group stage matches. St. Martin falling to no wins and 2 losses. And again, the final score from here at the Kirani James National Stadium in Grenada. It is Curaçao 4 and St. Martin 0.